What's so unfortunate about what's happening now with the stock market doing as poorly as it is, and this predatory equity that's involved in underwriting these risky mortgages that have led to a lot of the downfall in the stock market, is basically the chickens have come home to roost. Unfortunately, for many, many years, the stock market and mortgage companies and banks have engaged in very risky financing, guaranteeing mortgages that they really had no business guaranteeing. So we saw that in the first mortgage crisis. But what has happened in the city is that that same sort of mentality has permeated into our communities. What I mean is highly speculative buyers, those with engaged in predatory buying, predatory equity, have bought up so many of the apartment buildings in the Bronx. And these apartment buildings represent sort of the last frontier of affordability here in the Bronx. They buy them up. These owners make it very clear that they are going to take advantage of weak rent regulations, and they are going to try to flip an apartment a number of times to get it beyond the $2,000 a month rent threshold and basically gentrify neighborhoods. Now, what has happened is that these risky ventures and sort of overvaluing the price of these buildings has led to the bottom falling out of a lot of financial institutions that were underwriting these deals. And I think it's hurting not only middle America, but it's hurting us right here in our neighborhoods.
Talk about our neighborhood, because particularly in your area, we know that you have taken some legal action to deal with this issue.
Yeah, we have 1520 Cedric Avenue, which has gotten a lot of press lately as the birthplace of hip-hop. This is a wonderful building. For many years has maintained affordability in its apartments, and we have some of the pioneers of the hip-hop movement in the 1970s who came out of this very building in the Bronx. And what we have now is the possibility of this building being bought out by someone who has made it very clear that he does not wish to maintain affordability. And what I and Senator Chuck Schumer and the other elected officials in the area, including Assemblywoman Aurelia Green and the advocates, have moved to put forth an injunction to stop the sale of that with a understanding that the numbers that they are looking at to buy that building are not right, and they are setting themselves up for some foreclosure and a bottom falling out of a very bad deal.
Let's take a look at some of those numbers. Over the past 5 years, predatory equity investors have purchased an estimated 90,000 rent-regulated apartments and an estimated 17,000 apartments in publicly subsidized Mitchell-Lama and project-based Section 8 buildings.
Yeah, it's horrible. When you consider there is such an assault on the concept of affordable housing in New York City, NYCHA, consistently underfunded year after year by state and federal governments, a weakened or very weak rent regulation laws that create so many loopholes for landlords to work around the laws that exist so that they can boost rents, they can move out families who can't afford, and they can change the culture and dynamic of a neighborhood. And when you consider that, what's going to happen to New York City? What's going to happen to the Bronx? Is it going to be a place where working families can afford to live any longer? It doesn't appear that way, and it's very unfortunate.
When you talk about the fact of where are you going to live, a lot of people have already begun to talk about how Harlem is, with the issues going on in Harlem and no longer affordable housing becoming available. If that is the case and we see things going, the question is, where are these people going to move to?
Unfortunately, maybe out of the area, and I don't think it should have to be that way. You know, New York City, Harlem, East Harlem, where I represent as well, have for generations been a community where new immigrants are welcome, where those who are looking to get the first step on the path to the American dream begin to work towards that. But we're not giving those same opportunities to this next generation of new immigrants and families who are looking to make that dream because there's no place for them to go. So what happens? You have families who are living doubled up, tripled up, you know, sometimes 10, 11, 12 people in a one-bedroom apartment, unscrupulous landlords dividing apartments, charging astronomical rents, very unsafe conditions. And I think it's very important that all the elected officials and the agencies and administrators really pay attention to what's happening to affordability in the city of New York and make sure that affordability become not just a privilege but a right in the city of New York.